Hello and welcome to the first episode of Under the 128, the new show brought to you by the Weekly Dartscast. I'm Alex Moss, and joining me, I have the guru of grassroots darts himself, Matthew Kiernan, the darting nerd. How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't know about that. Fan follower. Let's go with that. But yeah, all good and jabbed up. So hopefully normality is slowly getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been 6 months since we did a video chat, and it was during the weekend of the Mad launch. We were looking through all the different things that they were coming out with, and we'll be delving into a bit of that. They've come out with some news recently. We've got the online league, which continues to go on. We'll be talking about that. The WDF, that seems to be coming back this month. The UKDA, they've got some news as well. So lots to get into. And as with all these things, we've got some slides to go through as well. So should we get things going?
Yes, let's. Do I seamlessly share the screen? Chris Twitty doesn't have to worry about this. I think that it's important to remember that this is a potentially very exciting time for grassroots darts, isn't it? Because now that society is starting to open up again, there is suddenly these plethora of choices for, especially those at the chasing pack that are just under the 128, hence the title. There's so many opportunities now, and this is even before the WDF has really launched its full calendar. So it's exciting, and also they're going to have some very difficult choices about what to target on any certain weekend, because there are only a certain number of weekends in the year.
And here we have it, the main one, if you like, that we're starting off with. It is the online darts league. I got my knuckles wrapped for calling it the Modus League, but old habits die hard, I guess. But the online league is back again. Phase 2 recently launched, and I guess this is the big news really from them, is that we now know about a prize fund, if you like, what these players are playing for, what the end goal is, if you like, is something that we've not had before, but we do now with the Champions Week. So every fifth week, I believe, there's going to be a prize pot, £10,000 prize fund, and at the end of it, the winner is going to pocket £5,000. And as we say, there's not been a lot of darts going on underneath the PDC at the moment because of the pandemic, but this, you've got to applaud it, haven't you? Because that's a lot of money to play for these players that aren't getting those opportunities at the top end in the PDC.
Yeah, it's a very worthy concept, and certainly everyone that works behind the scenes on it deserves a lot of credit for doing so. Obviously, the first phase launched in the middle of that horrendous third lockdown in sort of January, February. Let's try and not think about that. So it came at a really important time, and then there was all that wonderful excitement initially. Oh, in-person darts, great stuff. And then it sort of, as things started to open up, just tailed off. I think that's fair to say. I don't think this is controversial to say. That just tailed off, and the problems that it had were that that there was no end goal, as you say. There was sort of lacked stakes. I think there were a lot of quite repetitive games. Let's be honest. That Monday to Wednesday phase where they play a round robin of the same 6 players, that's quite tricky to sort of make exciting if there's nothing at stake, so to speak. And it was the same group of players that we've become familiar to. That, yes, there were a few very welcome additions. Great to see Mike Gillett, the happiest man in grassroots darts, I think, was in there, and Bradley Kirk and some of the legends as well. Colin Monk and Shane Burgess. No one would have predicted these people would have been playing in this, so that was really nice. But it did lack that end goal, as you said. So they've corrected basically all of the issues that I initially had with it. With this, the fact that they've revealed what the prize fund is, and the Champions Week, which is very good, and the Saturday night final as well, where you've got your 2 groups of 3, and then you play through. And for me, cards on the table. I do comms work for TCL Management. It's fantastic for them. They're all involved in this, and it's fantastic practice for them, and all of these players that are in this are going to be at a distinct advantage for when the challenge and development tours come back later in the year. So we look forward to that. And the last issue I had with it was, well, how does, not you and me, but specifically, but how does someone who's clearly of this ability look to get involved in this if it's just sort of a who you know job? Well, as we're recording this, they're now having a virtual qualifier as we speak, and the winner of that will go into a future week. So fair play, they have corrected all of the issues that it faced initially, and I do have one issue with it, but I'll just pause just in case you wanted to follow up on any of what I've just said.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, joke sometimes that it's called the never-ending league, if you like, because it does go on from Monday to Saturday, week in, week out. But the prize fund that they're putting on for this on the Champions week, at least anyway, does deserve some credit. And you think we had Chris Mason in the commentary box, he was saying, sorry, I'm eating some peanuts. Well, the players, they're not playing for peanuts anymore, are they? They're playing for a lot of money in this world of darts, in the amateur semi-professional side. And I was speaking to George Noble for this week's Weekly Dartscast, comes out on Thursday morning. So by the time you're watching or listening to this, it will already be out and you might have heard it already. But he's well involved with Modus, and he was saying that they're looking to push that £10,000 prize fund up to 12,000, and the winner from 5,000 to 10,000. That's their goal. And you think, as you say, it's got to be applauded what they're doing, and they're looking to bring in new players. You mentioned there that the MAD qualifier they're going on at the moment, so all MAD members, they can have a go at the online qualifier, and it's got to be said, great exposure. They're going to be playing in-person darts for a week, whoever wins those qualifiers, and a chance, if they do well, to get through to that final week and play for a lot of money. So we could potentially see over these next few weeks, while the other darts aren't getting up again yet, these players really make a name for themselves and maybe go all the way and pick up that big pot of money at the end.
Yes, and I think just to conclude on the one slight issue that I have. I mean, what I absolutely love as sort of nerding out on dance events is to start right at the beginning of a tournament and see it right through to the end. And I've never been able to see this right through to the end, because now they've got a broadcaster, which is also incredible, really, to be able to get a broadcaster on board to show it. It finishes at 1:30 in the morning on Sunday, and that's at least 4.5 hours after my bedtime. So we need to have a word and say, no, come on, start it at 6 in the evening. Have a word with the broadcasters, and then I can watch the final. In terms of the actual darts, they launched this quite interestingly with a sort of a one-night exhibition, and again, it started very late on a same night as Eurovision, incidentally. And Richie Burnett won that, so you can see he was having some fun with the trophy there on the right. So that was good. So that was a sort of a one-off payoff, and then these are the guys that have qualified so far. Well, obviously we had the 9. James Richardson hasn't qualified for Champions Week, but he had a 9 darter, which is fairly amazing. And then of course you got Martin Adams, who won last week, and he played very well, and he beat Chaz Barstow, who just scraped in at the last moment, and Scott Marsh, who came third, and he was absolutely delighted. Scott Marsh is a TCL member, and I'm in contact with him a lot as a result of that, and really, really pleased to get through to that last week. So it does mean a lot, and they know that it's really vital practice. So it'd be interesting to see what public interest is as the weeks go by, and how that Champions Week, not Champions League, sorry. Got to snap out of that. The football's over now. And how it plans out.
Yeah, definitely. It's been some good moments. I must confess, I've not seen a lot of it. As you say, we've got the finals on the Saturday, which, if you're going to watch the league, really, like you, I want to watch it from start to finish and see that final bit. So if I do watch any of it, I will catch the odd game, or might catch the replay sometimes, because I know it's available on betting sites, also available on YouTube as well. You can go back and watch some of the games as well. So it's got to be said, very accessible, isn't it? And as you mentioned, on TV as well, on Sky. So lots of different platforms for people to be able to watch it, which again, for these players and the players that we don't know a lot about at the moment, can only be a good thing for them as well.
Right. So, MAD, our favourite subject. And this is quite exciting because now, as opposed to 6 months ago when we last spoke about this, now we can see this is the real test, isn't it? This is the test of the MAD model, and there are lots of events now on the website which are affiliated to MAD, which will then in theory give you points being prizes, and it'll get you, a high ranking in your local super region. So let's just remind ourselves of what our regions are called. What's your region called?
Oh, now you tested me. Is it is it like Gladiators or something, Eagles or something? I can't remember. I know Andrew Gilding was the champion without even playing a game, but now of course he's back on the tour now, so I'm not sure who it comes down to now.
So I believe I'm a Titan.
All right.
Or am I an Invader? I must go and check that. Gosh, that's embarrassing. Anyway, at least it proves that we're keen on it. Yeah, so in theory, so we're going to have a competition between ourselves, by the way. I haven't discussed this with you, but we're going to try and get as many mad points as we can by the end of the year to see who finishes higher in our local region. But that's the beauty of it. In theory, if it works well, which I suspect that it will do, you then be able to move your way up and then potentially play in this. So this was their big news, which was heavily trailed on social media a few weeks ago. Big news coming. And it is big news. All details to be confirmed, but the first MAD World Championship.
Yeah, and myself and Burton, we spoke a little bit about it on the show this week, the Weekly Dartscast, about it. And I said that I was a little bit surprised by the news because I weren't expecting MAD to come out with their own World Championship. I thought they had their showpiece events that they've announced. They've got the title belts as well, the World Belt, which is currently held by the man holding that trophy there. And good to see as well, we got to mention he got his replica version of the BDO World Championship trophy delivered to him. Darts fans that contributed to a GoFundMe page, I think he got a trophy for himself after the one that he had originally got taken away. So that was good. But yeah, Wayne Warren's currently the world champion. He holds the world belt. That's now going to be renamed the Global Championship. So for me, yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but it does go to show where MAD want to go, doesn't it? Because originally we thought it was going to be mainly a UK thing, but it seems like they're branching out. They're going to be heading to the Netherlands, other countries around Europe. And if you're going to put on a world championship, you don't just have players from the UK, do you? So it's going to show really over these next 6, 12, 18 months when this event comes around where MAD is going to be. They're going to be looking to branch further afield, get more players involved. And it could be a massive thing for amateur semi-professional darts, what they're trying to do there. The blueprint they've got for the UK, if they can match that in other countries, it's going to be really interesting to see, because we've had the BDO World Championship around for so long. Their big events, the World Masters, that's now gone. Is this going to be the future for darts at that level? We don't know yet. We don't know. These events haven't happened yet, and we've not had the events to build up to it, if you like. But they've certainly built some momentum, and momentum at the moment is a hard thing to do in a pandemic when you're not getting events on. So for them to announce the event, and they seem pretty keen on getting it going, and 64 players, 4 days, and they mentioned their TV potentially, production, venue, all to be announced, prize fund as well. We're not sure what that is yet, but it's definitely got our attention.
Yeah, well, this is the big moment, isn't it? Because Steve Brown, who is the founder of MAD, very early on said, "Well, I saw the BDO championships and thought I could do better than that." And this is the test, isn't it? So fair play to him for that. But yes, jury's out, of course, until we see the format and just exactly what they come up with. But certainly, I'm sure they've got something in mind. Otherwise, they wouldn't announce it, would they? So we wait to see on that. So just on that point, so you'll have the MAD Amateur World Championships, and then a week later, this caused a bit of a stir. This was the big weekend for the 10th to the 12th at Chelsea. And have you ever been to Chelsea?
Not as yet, no.
No, well, you've got to do the pilgrimage. I've only done it once on a Friday, and I left swiftly after I didn't want to stay over. It's very you have to like drink basically. I think if you're a non-drinker like me, it might be a bit of a struggle, but certainly a fantastic venue and one that's very popular with darts players, especially now that it's in an indoor venue and not the bouncy castle, which is what Ashley Holgate very astutely called it based on its trampoline qualities from when it was in a marquee a few years ago. Anyway, so yeah, this is on the 10th to 12th of December. And why is that? Why did that cause consternation? It's because it's on a county weekend. And what's MAD's target audience? County players. Okay, so what happened just a couple of weeks before this was announced, was that MAD announced that they were having a very successful partnership going forwards with UKDA, and then they announced this, and everyone said, "Oh, hang on a minute, it's a county weekend." So this comes back down to the point which we're going to see more and more. There will be lots of clashes in the future going forwards, and there really isn't much that anyone can do about that, really, because all these organizations are fighting for these dates, and they've got great grand plans, and fair play to them. But yeah, I mean, that's it really. So they're just going to lay claim to them and plow on and hope for the best. So I am interested to see who chooses to play for their county and who chooses to go for this. And this will only flare up sort of around November time when entries close. And it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned the clashes, and you mentioned it when we spoke a few weeks ago when we did our 200th episode. We were talking about the future of grassroots darts and darts underneath the PDC. And yeah, this is a clash, as you say. We've got the mad big weekend coming up, and this is going to be their big event because World Championship 2022. But you'd imagine that the big weekend will be the same weekend the following year. They'll try and do it the same. So yeah, they're going to be two big weekends following back to back clashes with the county weekend. The dates for this World Championship, though, next year, we're assuming the World Masters current dates for this year is that first weekend of December. If it carries on next year, that could be a potential clashes as well. So it's like Matt Porter said to us when we spoke to him a little while ago when we were saying, what are your thoughts on it at the moment, darts underneath the PDC? And he said there was a lot of power grabbing going on at the minute, people trying to get their foot in the sand, or however you say it now, and get their things going and get the players involved. But we're not going to see that yet until the events happen. But what they can do right now is put dates in the calendar, say this is when we plan to hold our events, this is what we're going to be doing, and give players an idea. Really, they can start to map out their calendar, can't they? They can get dates in the diary to say, right, I'm going to be doing these weekends. I'm not going to do that. I might do that one. We don't know what each player is going to be like, because we have gone through the last year or so when no one's done any traveling. Will the players still want to do traveling weekend after weekend, or will they say, you know what, I might do one weekend a month or do 2 weekends a month, but I don't really want to be going around chasing ranking points for that. So it is up to these organisations as well to bring them in, to twist their arm and say, well, if you come and do these weekends, look what you could win at the end of it. There's going to be a lot of prize money, and there's going to be prize money, as we see on the screen here, for these events this big weekend, the Mad World Championship, the WDF events. So it's going to be interesting, as you say, to see which players go to which events and what these organisations can do to get these players back playing, because without the players, you don't have the tournaments.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And certainly look at this big weekend as it's a very impressive array of events. And obviously, we should draw attention to our favourite event, Alex, the MAD Golden Gauntlet. There it is on the Friday evening, 30 players invitational. And and at least one ticket holder will gain a spot in the competition. So we should go. We should go. It could be us.
Well, potential there to be runner-up in the Golden Gauntlet. You win that ticket, you get drawn out last, and you can say that you finished runner-up. You were there after a lot of the other big names. I think that's the only way I'm going to finish runner-up in that anyway.
Yes. Needless to say, my opinion hasn't changed on that. The jury's out, very much out until I've seen it. But I'll be watching, definitely. So yes, WDF, and obviously we should mention friend of the show Andrew Sinclair and Inside WDF, which is an excellent podcast, and people should subscribe to that immediately. But yes, so we won't spend too much time on this. But yes, the WDF is starting to splutter back into life, which is good news for international darts players. And here are the first few events.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And we think back to January 2020, Wayne Warren was winning the BDO World Championship. We didn't know at the time that would be the last one, but we did have an inkling on what the prize money was going to be for that tournament. And unfortunately for him, it wasn't £100,000. It was a lot less than that. And that was the final nail in the coffin for the BDO, because not long after that, the WDF, they might have done it that week actually, put out a statement saying that they want to put their own events on and do their own World Masters and World Championship. And they were just starting to get the early bricks in the building, if you like, on getting their tour going when the pandemic hits, and they've not really had anything since then, have they? But this is the start of things happening again. You've got this upcoming weekend, the Canterbury Open on the Sunday. Next week, we've got the Gibraltar Open. That's a big weekend in Gibraltar. You've got mad events there as well, soft tip, steel tip, lots going on next weekend. And then the following weekend, you've got an event in the US and one in New Zealand as well. So there's things starting to happen again, but it's the trouble that you have, isn't it, with the WDF and wanting to run a global circuit during a global pandemic. You're going to get some countries where you can go wherever you want. You can do what you want. You can play darts. You don't have to worry about any restrictions, masks, whatever. COVID's not a big issue in some countries. Some countries it's a big issue, and then there's others where it's in the middle. So that's going to be the biggest hurdle that they've got to overcome now. But it's a good sign that they've got these events going again. And as you've got there towards the bottom, some of the bigger ranked events, the Dutch Open and the England Open, early September, 3 months away, still a little while away. We're not quite sure what the status is on them at the moment. I think it's still wait and see. But we do know that the Dutch Open does clash with, I think, the Challenge Tour. So that's not a bad shout to maybe head over there and try and get some WDF rank points, and who knows, maybe me and you can go all the way and win the pairs.
Oh yeah, I forgot you asked me to do that. I tell you what, if you have a bad first set of, I mean, we'll talk about the Challenge Tour in a minute, but if you have a bad first set of Challenge Tours, it might be a good bet to enter the Dutch Open, mightn't it? Because generally speaking, after the first set of 6 events of the Challenge Tour, you know whether you've got a chance of topping the order of merit and ultimately going on to the next stage. If you have a bad weekend, then the Dutch Open might be a better bet, mightn't it? Not that affects us necessarily, but no, we should go and do it.
Yeah.
Yes. If not, there's always the England Open the next week.
Could be a good double header. We win the Dutch Open pairs, then we go and win the England Open pairs.
Oh, I'm not replying to that.
Yeah.
So this was good. So Challenge and Development Tours. And yes, the PDC have done a fantastic job, of course, up until this point in relation to keeping the Pro Tour side of things going. But often the Challenge and Development Tours, in certainly the Challenge Tour, in my opinion, has often felt like the poor relation to what's going on the Pro Tour. And then obviously there's a very good reason for that. Obviously it is the secondary tour, it's not the priority, and I understand that. And I will continue to bleat on until it's changed. But the Challenge Tour prize money hasn't changed in 7 years. So why is that? Anyway, I won't go on about that. The good news is that they have actually kept the prize fund that would have been used for the full range of events and split it very smartly, actually, across two different sets of events, some that are in Europe and some that are in the UK, because they know that, Germany, I mean, you mentioned Germany and COVID, I mean, it's all sorts of pain. And we saw this hilarious moment at the Pro Tour where 40 pro players turned up for the one flight going to Frankfurt, and they very nearly all didn't get onto the plane because they didn't have the right form. It's comedy, absolute comedy gold, swept under the carpet, of course, because you can't possibly report these things. But they all got there in the end, thank goodness. But that would have been a hugely embarrassing media story if that had been the case. Anyway, they're avoiding that now, perhaps learning from what happened there, and ensuring that the Challenge Tour in Europe is in Germany, and Development Tour in Europe is also there, and then the Challenge and Development Tour is, of course, in the new home of darts in the UK, and that's of course in the great Milton Keynes. So it's a real opportunity actually for players to actually cash in and make some money out of it, because all the prize money is the same, but there are in theory fewer players. Now that first weekend will be absolutely chocker, to pack to the rafters, because we did still see massive entry numbers in Q School, despite all the restrictions. So that will be a very long 3 days, I think, for both Europe and for the UK as well. So that'll be a test of stamina at the very least.
Yeah, they really are a test of stamina, these weekends. I think back to just before the virus came, and we had the first weekend of the Challenge Tour, and Scott Mitchell won one of the events. He was top of the list after that weekend, and there was a lot of talk after. I think he played Andrew Gilden in a final. I think it was Saturday night, and it was around midnight when it finished. And there was a lot of talk on social media afterwards about they need to have a look at the format here. You can't do 2 events a day, Saturday and Sunday. You've got to do maybe one Friday evening and then do one Saturday, 2. I don't know what people, I can't remember now. It's a long time ago now anyway, but it does make you smile when we see these weekends lined up and you've got 2 on the Friday, 2 on the Saturday, 2 on the Sunday. But to quote Gary Anderson, I think all these players just want to play darts, don't they? They've got to that point where it's been a long time for a lot of them where they've not been able to play in person. For a lot of these, the last time would have been Q School. And when this announcement came out, got to say, I didn't see it coming. But when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, fair play. It makes a lot of sense to split it up. And particularly for the players, I think the European players more than the UK players, because I was having a look at the Challenge Tour. It's never been outside England, I don't think. All the events have been in England. The Development Tour, that's started to move into Germany a little bit. But for the European players that are maybe the younger players that can play on the Development Tour still, that's two massive opportunities there for them to get a lot of experience playing some real good players on the Challenge Tour, the Development Tour, not have to do as much travelling going to the UK. And there's that carrot at the end of it. They finish top, they get the tour card, they get the spot of the World Championship as well. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how these events play out. And the most intriguing one really is that European Challenge Tour, which doesn't start, well, not long to wait now. 2nd of July, the first couple of events get underway. So that is going to be one to definitely follow.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. Look forward to that. And we also look forward to the return of county darts. And it's been ages. It's been ages. And we have to think back to this time last year, I think, because, again, power grab, as Matt Pauser very astutely pointed out, 3 organisations battling for the future of county darts. BDO desperately trying to cling on, mainly through fees, I think, but primarily, but not many went for that, their offering. UKDA, who obviously eventually did triumph for England and Wales at least, and and the Tri-Nations also put forward a bid. Most started to go over to the UKDA, so there was a period in time where it's almost on a daily announcement of which county was going to go to the UKDA first, which logging into Facebook. Oh, who's signed in now? Oh, it's very exciting. Oh, Surrey are in now. Oh, brilliant. And then there was this bizarre moment where the BDO had 10 counties left. Do you remember this? They had about 10 left, and they said, "Oh no, we're carrying on." So, oh, good. Okay, well, which counties have you got then? Okay, so Yorkshire, who often win, and so I'll scroll down the list. There's Isle of Wight, who do not win. I think that's a fair point. And someone made the point of that would be 36-0 if they actually played each other. Which, is a fair point, isn't it, really, in relation just on population. But eventually the BDO gave up the ghost, and the UKDA would then cover England and Wales, Scotland under the SDA banner, as they're going their own way on that. And Darts Corner has sponsored everything, which is very commendable for them. The only question I would have is, where's our Darts Corner sponsorship? Hey, can we not issue a come and get me, please? Come on, we're here.
We need space on that screen to have their logo.
But it is exciting though, and I know we tease you about it, but between us we've got one county youth cap, haven't we? But do you remember that at all? Because it's still an exciting thing and a privilege to play for your county, is it not?
Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, it wasn't like county senior, but still county youth. It was I think I was playing in a pub league, a Wednesday night pub league, and someone came up to me and said, "Do you fancy playing for Suffolk Youth?" And I was absolutely buzzing. I think I was only 16, 17 at the time, and it was like, yeah, I'll definitely be up for that. But yeah, I soon found out it's well out of my depth. I did manage to win one game on double one on the stage, so yeah, I was very happy with that. But yeah, no, it's good, and it's still got a place in darts, hasn't it? You look at the number of people that turn out in the men's, the ladies, the youth. It's still a big part in darts, the county thing, and players love it. They love doing the weekends away. You've got the home games, you've got the away games, and it is real. It's that team aspect, if you like, which you don't get I know a lot of darts that we watch is the singles, but away from that, which we're going to be focusing on, is with the counties, you've got that team aspect of it, and it's a lot of great memories that these players have, and a lot of them that are now moving into the PDC. We spoke to Chaz Barstow recently. He's got a great county records. I've got some great times there, so it's good to see it back up and running. Look, there's first weekend, September the 18th to the 19th, and I've got to say kudos to the UKDA, because yeah, it's probably been a year now since they got the thumbs up to say you're going to be taking it over. They could have easily said, right, let's get going in December, January, but I don't know whether they've got Chris Whitty in the background going, I think you guys better wait until September to be maybe more sure of doing it. But that was a good move by them, because they've had a lot of time to get things ready, and 3 months to go. I think they're all excited to get going.
Yeah, there isn't anything quite like it, and certainly UKDA have had a very smooth journey up until this point, until recently, but we'll come on to that in just a second. I think that there are obviously wider questions in relation to county darts, aren't there? And there's the fact that, well, how can you market it? Because there's nothing like it. It's a very unique concept. Obviously there's the youth aspect, men, women, and A's and B's, but there's nothing like that on the telly. And is there a way that could be marketed for the telly, or should that even be just dismissed altogether? And it comes down to the fact that we all know at least half a dozen people that are quite clearly good enough to play for their county, but actively choose not to because you're traveling. I mean, home games are fine, or normally aren't they? They're normally within a short car drive at the very least. But if it's an away trip, you could be halfway across the country, or if it's England and Wales, which at the moment it is, you could be going to Wales if you're, from where you are, for example, in Suffolk, all the way over to the other side of the country to Wales. That's probably, and vice versa. That's probably not what you want for a best of 5 or a best of 7 match for what is most of the time for no prize money. And you would need a sponsor to try and reduce those costs, you could be spending hundreds of pounds. And that's what it boils down to. You have to really love darts at that point, because, that is a whole weekend away. And I would do one weekend like that in a year for athletics for the national championships. But that is 4 to 5 times in a season. So that's the sort of payoff. And I don't really know how you solve that, because I believe the overwhelming majority of the counties voted for, we'll just do it on a structure and we just enjoy our away days and don't regionalise it and carry on. But yeah, it's just one of those never-ending debates, really, that will always take place in county darts. And county darts will always survive. The question is, in what form?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of them that is going to still be around. I think this next season is probably going to be a big season, though, isn't it? And as you've got the logo on there, the BDO there, it's going to be the first season without the BDO being involved in the county. So we'll see how it goes. And we've got the first real stumbling block, you can say, for the UKDA was this statement that came out from the Welsh Darts Organisation. I won't try and read the line underneath it. I might have to get Dylan from Darts Cymru to read that one for us. But this is a statement that came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago now, actually, from the WDO, and essentially saying that they're potentially looking to run their own Super League and a little bit lower down, run their own inter-county championship and move away from the UKDA potentially. I think it boils down to the fees that are involved in it, and maybe not all the money that they put in going back to Welsh Darts. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read the whole thing, and I know that the UKDA, they did put out a response to it, but I did go and have a look for it before we started recording it. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm not entirely clued up on this, but it's not a good look for either party with this going on a few months before they're supposed to get the triumphant return of county darts.
Well, exactly. And I'm just going to read the 3 lines which sort of stuck out to me. And obviously, it's, the proposals are all along the lines of what you would expect, really, in terms of competitions. The UKDA have completely failed to give any firm assurances not to undermine the Welsh Darts Organisation, and they do not wish to have any meaningful working relationship whatsoever with the Welsh Darts Organisation. I mean, say what you mean. That's what I say. And the next line, which is the most key one, in my opinion, is in order to retain the integrity of the WDO and its member counties, helping them to maintain and honour their long-standing agreements with Red Dragon. So Red Dragon, of course, is a company based in Wales. I believe that's correct. Yes. And of course, it sponsors the Champion of Champions, which will now be under MAD. And it's very, very synonymous with the region. And of course, they probably have commercial agreements already in place. The commercial agreements that UKDA has is with Mission, which is also Darts Corner, of course. And you have to use a certain type of board, which is the Samurai board, which I've never thrown on, actually. So I'll have to buy one and experiment on that. But obviously, that's in direct conflict with Red Dragon. So then you have a look at all of this, and all very sensible. And the last line is, we want all the money from Wales to stay in Wales to benefit Welsh darts. I mean, that's a hell of a line to finish on, isn't it? I mean, you weren't in any doubt about their about their stance. You certainly are by the end. And yeah, it's really interesting. And as you say, the UKDA, I was hoping, I went to, when we were putting these slides together, I went to grab the UKDA statement in response so we could read it for balance, and that's gone. So clearly tricky. It has been, I noticed that today Darts Corner have obviously said, oh, we're really proud to sponsor UKDA, and fantastic, Grassroots Darts, fantastic, which is fair play to them for doing that. But yeah, no sign of the response, so not sure what's happened there. And again, it's watch this space. Now, if you ever want to add an extra element of excitement to proceedings, Alex, do always have a look at the comments sections of these things. And I've picked out 2 wonderful exchange, which I will now show. This is all public. This is a public forum. So, this is a statement from John Williams, which looks to be which you get the gist of. Won't read all of it out, but basically the gist of, I mean, I've covered up some of the text there at the end, so apologies about that, but the gist of it is to say, it's not too late to change your minds, support Wales darts players first and foremost, in Wales, and in anticipation of you supporting us. And then there's this fantastic reply from Jackie, who says, so have you all decided that democratic votes from all the players to join UKDA doesn't matter? Which is a very good point, isn't it? Because they've all voted already. So, I can understand that it would be frustrating if I'd voted on something and suddenly that had been thrown into doubt. It's like having an election and then saying, oh, no, you can't have that. You've got to have another one. It's like, oh, right, okay, well, we'll just keep going until we get the result that we all want. So nearly 200 comments and then a post, and then we're all supposed to I'm paraphrasing, we're all supposed to just go along with what you say. So, and then there was a lot of people in support of what she was saying. So, yeah, very interesting. And it's a shame that it's sort of come to that, really, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And I'm fairly sure that the other thing I read in the comments was that Glamorgan haven't officially confirmed what they're doing yet, I think. And someone suggested that they might just enter both if there is a second one, which is quite a good idea. Well, Glamorgan probably being one of the bigger counties, I would imagine. So yeah, never a dull moment.
I think the main thing with that is that the two parties just need to sit down, don't they? Whether it's like we're doing now on Zoom or in person when they're able to do so. Because Welsh Darts spoke to Mark Webster this week, and we've seen the success that Welsh Darts has had over the last few years. And few people will know about Johnny Clayton before he moved into the PDC was how well he did, how well he enjoyed representing Wales county darts, international darts in the BDO side of things. So it's played a big part in his career, getting him to where he is now. So it would be a shame if things were to break up or there was to be a dispute between those two. So hopefully when the time's right, they'll have a sit down and we can all get going again.
Great stuff. Well, I'm absolutely exhausted, but there's so much I mean, it's great that there is so much to talk about, isn't there? And if people have enjoyed that, then we'll do it a couple of times, bi-monthly maybe. But and if you didn't enjoy it, then we'll pretend it never happened. Yeah,
definitely. Well, yeah, Matthew, it is a pleasure to chat with you. It's appreciate your time as always. And yeah, as you touched on there, anyone who wants to hear this again or you want us to do more of these, then all you got to do is let us know what you want us to talk about. We had a couple of people get in touch with some topics which we can touch on next time as well. I think one of them was our top 5 ladies players of all time. We'll probably have to have a bit of thinking time for that one to come up with our answers. So yeah, let us know what you think. We'll be back at some point soon, hopefully with some darts, some events that have happened that we can talk about, and we can look ahead to things coming up and more things coming up in the future as well.